All right, so I don't know if you know this, but I've been an inclusive marketing strategist and consultant for 7 years now. My entry into the space was very much heavily influenced by my lifelong experiences as a frustrated consumer. There are several components of my identity that make me different from what is often considered to be mainstream. And as a result, brands haven't often served me well because of those things that make me different. And as a result, there have been many brands who I have been ready to be a customer of, but I ultimately ended up not converting because they just didn't deliver inclusive experiences, and I definitely didn't feel like I belonged there. I'm sure if I've had that experience, I definitely know I am not alone when it comes to other consumers, particularly those with differences that make it so they don't fit so cleanly into what is considered to be mainstream. I'm positive, because I've heard plenty of stories, that they are not converting with brands that they wanted to, or they were close to converting because of the customer experiences that they delivered, which was not ideal, as well as other things that didn't make them feel like they belong. So after this short break, we're going to walk through how to deliver customer experiences that increase conversions. Okay. Did you know that most businesses only use 20% of their data? That's like reading a book with most of the pages torn out, or paying for a coffee that's just 1/5 full. Point is, you miss a lot unless you use HubSpot. Their customer platform gives you access to the data you need to grow your business. The insights trapped in emails, call logs, and transcripts, all that unstructured data that makes all the difference. Because when you know more, you grow more. And when you get a full cup of coffee, you can do more too. But I digress. Visit HubSpot.com today. Okay, so before we get into the specifics of how to deliver customer experiences that get you more conversions, let's talk a little bit about why some consumers consistently have less than ideal customer experiences. I did a research study of consumers who frequent hotels and bed and breakfast because I wanted to know how they thought of belonging. So here's what a few consumers who were part of underrepresented and underserved communities had to say about their subpar customer experiences. One person wrote, "People with food allergies and restrictions should have an opportunity to get everything that they paid for." Oh, I feel this one 100%. Another person wrote, "I wish they realized that larger people want to travel and feel as though our money is as important as straight-sized individuals. Oftentimes, larger guests will find themselves with tiny towels, hard to reach items, not much space between furniture." Another person wrote, "I've stayed at numerous places where there was nothing to eat on the menu for me," and she's vegan, and staff was not open to making adjustments. Another person wrote, "I need grab bars in the shower." And yet another person wrote, "People are allergic to feathers." This frustration doesn't just exist for some hospitality industry consumers. It often impacts people across the board who are part of underrepresented and underserved communities. Historically, brands have done a poor job of serving these communities as well. A comprehensive study commissioned by beauty retailer Sephora showed that 2 out of 5, or 40%, of retail shoppers have personally experienced unfair treatment based on their race or skin color. And that's not just at Sephora, that is in retail environments overall. Numerous studies show that women are subjected to the pink tax, where they are charged and sometimes taxed, in the case of feminine care products, more for similar products such as razors, toys, and dry cleaning than men are. One study showed women are charged 48% more for shampoo, even though the ingredients are similar. Another study showed that the pink tax costs women an extra $1,351 annually, and more than $100,000 throughout a lifetime. Ugh. And there are plenty of consumers who are noticing this. There's one gentleman who posted up a photo on Twitter, now X, a while back. He snapped a photo of a hotel personal care kit. And actually, the photo is of 2 personal care kits. There's a his kit, which is in blue. It has pretty similar contents, and it's $7.59. And then there's a hers kit right next to it, which is pink, and it is $9.99. And I'm looking at the ingredient list, and it's the exact same ingredients. There are 2 refreshing wipes, 1 shaving razor, 1 shaving cream packet, 1 toothpaste, 1 toothbrush, 1 aloe vera cream, 1 shampoo, 1 foot gel. Same things, a difference of $1.50. Not cool. I'll drop a link to this image in the show notes so you can see it if you want to have a look for yourself. These less than ideal experiences for consumers from underrepresented and underserved communities lead to frustration and much lower conversions with the brands they have these substandard experiences with. When people are frustrated or feel like they are treated like an afterthought, they don't convert. They don't make repeat purchases and don't achieve success at the same rate as others. In episode 45 of the Inclusion in Marketing podcast, I do a deep dive into factors that influence your customer success and conversions that you should be aware of so you can fix them. I'll drop a link to that episode in the show notes for you in case you haven't listened yet and you want to access it easily. Now, there's a simple solution to increase conversions throughout the customer experience you deliver for all the people that you want to serve. And it's to eliminate identity-based friction. So after this short break, we're going to get into 3 ways that you can deliver conversion boosting customer experiences by eliminating identity-based friction. All right. Okay, I've got another podcast recommendation for you. It's Augmenters, hosted by Julie Meyer and Jimmy Edgerton, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So on this show, Julie and Jimmy dive into mentoring and explore ways to augment and refresh the mentoring environment. They're using 8 core principles that weave relevant spirit guides and diverse guests, and Julie and Jimmy use a lot of humor and practical tips to help mentors and mentees get further, faster together. There's so many great episodes to tune into for this show, but one that you might find especially interesting is their latest episode, number 120, Mentoring Across Gender, Men as Allies and Mentors. Listen to Augmenters wherever you get your podcasts. All right, the first way to deliver conversion-boosting customer experiences is to acknowledge the many ways consumers can be different. Differences are common. From the standpoint of consumers who have the problem your brand solves, there are a myriad of identities and ways in which they can be different that will have an impact on the customer experience your brand delivers. Take the time to go through this quick exercise evaluating all the different ways your ideal customer could be different. Now, I've got a list that I often show clients, which are common dimensions of diversity that impact the way a consumer experiences your brand, and ultimately whether or not they convert. There's age, ethnicity, language, ableness, dietary restrictions, religion, gender, geographic location, handedness, and just in case you're not sure on what that is, that's are you left-handed or are you right-handed? Gender, geographic location, time zone, marital status, education level, complexion, body feeding status. When I say body feeding status, are you breastfeeding a child or are you not? Race, body type, sexual orientation, parental status, income, hair type, family type. And there's plenty more different identities. Now, once you find the different identities of the consumers you want to serve, the next step is to understand how their needs differ. Simply acknowledging that not all the customers you serve have the same need helps you expand your way of operating. For instance, say you own a hotel and did this exercise. If the results highlighted that some of your ideal customers will be allergic to feathers and some will, you might make different choices about the type of bedding you offer. As a result, you could deliver a high quality and safe experience for all your guests. Taylor Loren is a marketer who recently launched a content marketing strategy playbook. I loved seeing a call out on her sales page highlighting that the course was built with neurodivergent brains in mind. The product offering was made to deliver a more inclusive experience because Loren first identified that neurodivergent people are part of her ideal customer base. A second thing you can do to deliver conversion boosting customer experiences is to not other people. No one likes to feel othered or like they aren't part of a group because of their differences. Now, I often remind clients that not everyone has a great relationship with what makes them different. So they often don't want to be reminded of this when they're trying to engage with a brand. Remember, belonging is the goal. The more people feel like they belong with you, the higher your conversion rates will be. When people feel cast aside or like they aren't normal, they are less likely to take action to continue engaging with a brand that makes them feel that way. People who feel othered are less likely to convert. Instead of labeling things that make some consumers feel frustrated or upset, enable customers to find what they need without making them feel like something is wrong with them. Some retail brands have stopped othering shoppers who need a larger size by eliminating the plus size label from the shopping experience. So I've got an example in the show notes for you of a brand who's using the plus size label in a way that others people and delivers a substandard customer experience. So basically, if you were to go online and look at this brand, if you wanted to look at business casual clothing, they have all the brands listed in this retail store. They've got photos and images of them, but each one of them is labeled plus sized. Now, contrast that with another example that I've also got the image of that in the show notes that allows shoppers to find what they need without othering them, thus delivering a more positive experience that makes more people feel like they belong. So in this instance, and the example is for David's Bridal, what they have is photos of all the dresses that they have available. But then on the side, they have a listing of sizes from small petite all the way up to 25. Well, that's just in this image. I think the sizes actually go higher. So someone can just go and say, hey, they can select which size they are. And then the website would calculate or start showing which dresses they have available in that size. And of course, they can then go and choose the color. No one size is elevated above the other, and no one size is called out as being different or othered by having to give it a special label. And it delivers a much better experience. It makes the people who were going through the experience feel so much better, and more of them are likely to convert because they're not made to feel some type of way as they're shopping. In episode number 114 of this podcast, I explored the concept of what is quote unquote normal and how marketers should use it to deliver remarkable customer experiences for all the people that they serve. So I'm going to drop a link for that in the show notes for you as well. And a third way we're going to walk through today on how to deliver conversion boosting customer experiences is to not force people to raise their hands to acknowledge their differences. I spoke at a conference earlier this year, and my session was just before lunchtime. After it was over, I went to the buffet lunch that was set up for the attendees and noticed that there weren't any labels on the food from an allergy standpoint. So I went and asked one of the servers if they could let me know which items were safe, and a few minutes later, someone brought out a prepared plate for me from the chef full of gluten-free items, including dishes that weren't included at the buffet. I was pretty pleased, and it made up for like the 7 minutes that I had to stand there waiting for someone to help me and tell me what it was that I can eat. So when I sat down to eat that plate, the woman next to me heard me talking about my experience of having to wait to get gluten-free food. So she told me she was also gluten-free for health reasons. However, she opted to guess which foods in the buffet were gluten-free because she didn't want to say anything. Hopefully, she did not guess wrong and had to suffer the consequences of not wanting to have to be a burden or bring attention to herself and what made her different. It is important to recognize that not everyone who has an identity that makes them different wants to raise their hand and tell the world about the specific needs that they have. Here's a clip in which famed producer Shonda Rhimes shares about a time when she decided against raising her hand to express her need for a special accommodation, even though it could negatively impact her safety.
You tell a story that you kind of dawned on you one day when you were trying to buckle a seatbelt in an airplane and you couldn't.
I got on an airplane. I was going to New York from LA, and it was like a first class seat. You know, they're bigger, and I was like, this is gonna be really comfortable. I got in my seat, I took off my shoes, I pulled out my book, I went to buckle the seatbelt, and it wouldn't buckle. And I thought to myself, well, something's wrong with the seatbelt, it's broken. And it wasn't the seatbelt, it was me. And I thought, well, I could get a seatbelt extender. I could ask the airline attendant to give me a seatbelt extender, or I could die and not have a seatbelt extender, and maybe the plane will crash, or I'll fly out of my seat when we take off. And I decided that I would risk it and just fly out of my seat because I wasn't gonna say anything.
When working to improve your conversions by eliminating identity-based friction in the customer experiences you deliver, take the time to ensure that consumers do not have to raise their hands to acknowledge their differences and get what they need from you. Make it so you've included a way for people to easily get their questions answered, get the accommodations that they need, or self-identify what will work best for them in their experience without having to detail their personal information to a stranger. During a research study I conducted for a client, one consumer explained that brands make her feel like she belongs. And this is what she said: when I don't have to ask for accommodation because they are already available. In episode 93 of the Inclusion and Marketing Podcast, I walk you through my inclusive customer experience spectrum to help you identify how to deliver experiences that convert a higher number of customers. All right, remember, better customer experiences lead to higher conversions. You can increase conversions for your brand, and it results from delivering better customer experiences for all the people you serve, including those from underrepresented and underserved communities. Start by identifying how the people you serve are different, then design experiences that make all of your ideal customers feel like they belong with your brand, no matter their identity. That's it for today's episode, and I'm super curious. Have you ever found yourself as a consumer or considering a brand, but then ultimately did not convert because a substandard experience that they delivered to you specifically? Think about that as you're designing experiences for the people that you serve. Let's continue the conversation about the customer experiences that brands are delivering and that we are delivering for everyone that we're serving. There's two great things that you can do to continue the conversation. Let's chat about this on social and bring others in and see how they're thinking about this, what their experiences have been. We can continue the chat in the DMs, over email. Let's just keep talking about it and make sure they're putting customer experience at the forefront. The second thing you can do is leave a rating and review for this podcast in your podcast player of choice. It really does go a long way towards helping more people to discover the show, which means that more marketers are thinking about customer experience and delivering remarkable experiences that make more of the people they serve feel like they belong. One other question before we get out of here. Are you getting the Inclusion and Marketing newsletter? If so, go ahead and remedy that right now. In the show notes, I will drop a link for you so you too sign up. Each week, I send stories, insights, news, tips, and other resources to help you attract and attain a bigger, more diverse, and fiercely loyal customer base. Go to inclusionandmarketing.com/newsletter to get signed up. Until next time, remember, everyone deserves to have a place where they belong. Let's use our individual and collective power to ensure more people feel like they do. Thanks so much for listening. Talk to you soon.